The transport ship docked at Station 9 with a soft hiss. The doors opened and 300 new cadets walked out into the massive hangar bay. They came from dozens of worlds across the Coalition. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin in colors that humans could not even name. They were tall and short, heavy and thin, but all of them had one thing in common. They wanted to become soldiers. Stepped off the transport last. She was small compared to everyone around her. Her black hair was tied back in a simple knot. Her eyes were dark and calm. She carried only a small bag with her things. The other cadets looked at her with curiosity. Some looked at her with something else, something like pity. Humans were new to the galaxy. Only 60 years had passed since first contact. In that time, humanity had spread to a handful of colonies, built a small fleet and asked to join the Galactic Coalition. The Coalition said yes, but many species still thought of humans as children. Weak, soft, not ready for the real dangers of space. The Academy on 9 was the most famous military school in the Coalition. Graduates became officers, commanders, and heroes. Getting accepted was almost impossible. Was the only human in her class. She was the third human ever to attend. A loud horn sound filled the hangar. The cadets stopped talking and stood straight. Heavy footsteps echoed through the bay. Then he appeared. Blade Master was His species came from a high-gravity world with brutal seasons. They grew tall and strong, with 4 arms and skin covered in black scales. Stood almost 3 meters high. His eyes were yellow and sharp like a hunting bird. He wore the silver armor of a master instructor. On his back hung a long, curved sword. He walked slowly in front of the cadets. His eyes moved over each one, measuring them, judging them. When his gaze fell on, he paused for just a moment. His expression did not change, but she felt the weight of his attention. "Welcome to the Academy," said. His voice was deep and rough like stone grinding against stone. "You are here because you believe you are special. You believe you have what it takes to become warriors. Most of you are wrong." He stopped walking and turned to face them all. "Combat is about control," he said. "Control of your body, control of your weapon, control of the space around you, control of your enemy's mind. Without control, you are nothing but meat waiting to die." He drew his sword in one smooth motion. The blade caught the light and seemed to glow. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "This is an honor blade. It has been in my family for 12 generations. It has never lost a battle." He swung it through the air. The movement was so fast that barely saw it. "By the time you leave this academy, you will understand why." 3 cadets stood near the front. They were big, with natural armor plates on their skin and muscles like thick cables, pointed at them. "You 3 attack me all at once." They looked at each other. Then they charged. They moved fast for their size, coming at from 3 different angles. It should have been overwhelming. Moved like water. He stepped between their attacks as if he knew where they would strike before they did. His 4 arms worked in perfect harmony. In less than 5 seconds, all 3 were on the ground. One had his arm locked behind his back. One was gasping for air after a strike to his throat. The third simply lay still, knocked out cold. Had not even used his sword. "Control," he said again. He was not even breathing hard. "Learn it or leave." The cadets were silent, watched everything with careful attention. She noticed how moved, how he positioned his feet, how he watched his opponent's eyes. She stored all of it in her memory. After the demonstration, the cadets were divided into groups based on their physical assessments. The strongest went to advanced combat training. The fastest went to scout preparation. The went to tactical studies. Was sent to remedial conditioning. The officer who gave her the assignment looked at her with something like sympathy. "Standard protocol for species below Class 3 physical rating," he explained. "You need to build up your baseline before you can train with the others." Nodded. She did not argue. She did not complain. That night in the small room she shared with 2 other cadets, She lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. Her roommates were unnamed and unnamed, had feathers instead of hair and could see heat signatures, had 6 legs and could run faster than most vehicles. "You should request a transfer," said. She was not being cruel. Her voice was gentle. "No human has ever made it past the first month. The training here is not designed for your species." Clicked her mandibles in agreement. "The instructors push everyone to the breaking point. For you, that point will come quickly." Turned her head to look at them. "Thank you for your concern," she said, "but I did not come here to transfer." "Then why did you come?" asked. Was quiet for a long moment. She thought about her home, about the mountains where she grew up, about her grandmother who taught her to breathe, to wait, to see the flow of all things, about why she really wanted to be here. "To learn," she finally said, "and maybe to teach." And exchanged confused looks. They did not understand what she meant. That was fine, was patient. They would understand soon enough. She closed her eyes and slept without dreams. 6 weeks passed. The academy lost 40 cadets to failure, injury, or surrender. Every species suffered losses. The training was brutal and unforgiving. Instructors pushed cadets until they broke, then pushed harder. Did not break. The remedial conditioning program was designed to build up weaker species before they joined the main training. It included long runs through the station corridors, weight training in variable gravity chambers, combat drills against automated opponents, and survival exercises in extreme environments. Most cadets in the program struggled. Many quit within days. Ran every morning before the artificial sunrise. She ran until her legs burned and her lungs screamed for air. Then she ran more. The cadets, famous for their endurance, collapsed before she did. The trainers watched her with confusion. They did not understand how such a small creature could keep going. The cold chamber test came in the 3rd week. Cadets had to survive in a room chilled to nearly freezing for 6 hours. The who needed warmth to stay conscious dropped into hibernation shock within the first hour. Medical teams pulled them out. Many species failed before the halfway point. Sat in the corner of the cold chamber with her eyes closed. Her breathing was slow and controlled. Frost formed on her hair and her skin turned pale, but she did not shiver. She had learned this technique in the mountains of her home country, where winter could kill the unprepared. Her grandmother had called it embracing the cold as a friend. It was not about fighting the temperature. It was about accepting it, flowing with it, letting the body find its own balance. When the 6 hours ended, she walked out on her own feet. The medical officer who examined her could not believe his readings. "Your core temperature dropped to dangerous levels," he said, checking his instruments again. "You should be unconscious. How are you standing?" "Training," said simply. Word spread through the academy. The human was surviving, not just surviving, she was excelling. The other cadets began to watch her differently, some with respect, some with suspicion, some with fear. Heard the reports but paid them little attention. "Endurance is not combat," he told Lieutenant, his assistant instructor. "Any creature can suffer. War requires more than the ability to take punishment. It requires the ability to deliver it." Was a younger, still learning under guidance. He had watched the human in training several times. "She moves strangely," he observed. "Not like other humans I have seen in recordings. There is something different about her." Made a dismissive sound. "Humans are fragile. When blades are drawn, that fragility will show. It always does." The monthly ranking matches came at the end of the 6th week. Every cadet had to fight. Victories raised your rank. Defeats lowered it. The matches used training blades that were dulled but still dangerous. Broken bones were common. Serious injuries happened. Sometimes cadets died, though the instructors tried to prevent it. Was matched against a named Bren. He was young but already famous in the academy for his aggressive style. His natural armor plating could stop most training weapons. His fists had put 3 cadets in medical care in the past month alone. When the match was announced, many cadets laughed. They expected the human to be destroyed. The training hall was crowded. Cadets from every species came to watch. Some wanted to see a good fight. Most wanted to see the human finally fail. Bren entered the ring first. He was huge, nearly twice size. His plates were dark green and thick. He grinned with teeth like broken stones. "I will try not to hurt you too badly, little human," he said, "but I make no promises." Stepped into the ring, she carried no weapon. Her hands hung loose at her sides, her face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, no excitement, just calm. The signal to begin sounded. Bren charged. He was fast for his size, covering the distance in 2 massive steps. His fist came down like a hammer, aimed its head. It would have crushed her skull. She was not there. She moved low and to the side, sliding under his arm like smoke through fingers. Her hand struck the soft spot behind his knee. He stumbled. Before he could recover, she was behind him. Her elbow hit the gap between his shoulder plates. He roared in pain and swung backward, but she was already gone. 11 seconds. That was how long the fight lasted. In those 11 seconds, struck Bren 7 times. Each strike found a gap in his armor. Each strike targeted a nerve cluster, a joint, a vulnerable point that Bren did not even know he had. He never touched her, not once. His fists cut through empty air again and again. The final blow came to his throat, not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to steal his breath. Bren fell to his knees, then collapsed forward onto the floor. He gasped like a fish pulled from water. Stood over him without a single mark on her body. She was not even breathing hard. The hall was silent. Every cadet stared. No one could process what they had just witnessed. In his observation booth above the ring, leaned forward. His yellow eyes were wide. His 4 hands gripped the railing. "Replay the match," he ordered. He watched it 17 times that night. He slowed it down. He analyzed every movement. He studied every strike. He could not understand what he was seeing. The human moved in ways that should not be possible. She read Bren's attacks before he made them. She found weaknesses that were invisible to the eye. She used no strength, no speed, nothing that the Academy taught as combat fundamentals. And yet she won, completely, utterly. Sat alone in the dark for a long time after the screens went black. For the first time in over 100 years of teaching, he did not know what he was looking at. His victory over Bren was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, she fought 12 more matches. She won all of them. She defeated a blade dancer who moved faster than the eye could follow. She waited for the moment between his strikes, then took him down with a single throw. She defeated twin wrestlers who fought as a team. She turned their coordination against them, making them crash into each other until they were too confused to continue. She defeated a cadet named Talon who had won 30 matches in a row. He was considered the best fighter in the junior class. The fight lasted 2 minutes. At the end, Talon lay on the ground with his 4 arms locked in positions that made movement impossible. He had to surrender or risk breaking his own bones. No human had ever defeated in single combat, not in the entire history of the Academy records. Now the records needed to be updated. The cadets did not know what to think. Some began to respect. They sat near her in the dining hall and asked questions about her training methods. She answered them honestly but simply. Breathe, watch, wait, move only when necessary. They did not understand, but they listened. Others did not accept what they were seeing. A group of senior cadets, led by a noble named, began spreading rumors. Came from one of the oldest families in the coalition. His ancestors had been warriors for 10,000 years. The idea that a human could defeat trained fighters from ancient warrior species was insulting to him. She is cheating, told anyone who would listen. Humans are too weak for real combat. She must have illegal modifications, hidden implants, combat wetware in her brain, something. The rumors spread. Some cadets believed them. They wanted to believe them. It was easier than accepting that their understanding of combat was incomplete. Gathered signatures on a formal complaint. 50 cadets signed it. They demanded that be investigated for cheating. They demanded that she be tested for modifications. They demanded justice. The complaint reached the Academy Council. The council had no choice but to respond. Was called to make a decision. He had watched all of matches by now. He had studied them until his eyes hurt. He still could not explain what she was doing, but he had seen no evidence of cheating. Her movements were strange, yes, but they were not superhuman. They were just different. Still, the complaint was formal. It had to be addressed. He called to his office. She arrived exactly on time and stood before his desk with her hands behind her back. Her posture was relaxed but respectful. She did not seem worried. Studied her for a long moment. She was so small. Her arms were thin. Her body showed no obvious muscle mass. By every measure the academy used, she should be one of the weakest cadets in the school. And yet she had defeated opponents 4 times her size. 50 cadets have accused you of cheating, said. They believe you have illegal modifications. I do not, replied. I am inclined to believe you, but belief is not proof. You understand the position this puts me in. Nodded. What do you need me to do? Leaned back in his chair, his 4 arms crossed over his chest. You will demonstrate your abilities in a formal exhibition against a senior instructor. If you have been cheating, it will be exposed. If you have not. He paused. The words felt strange in his mouth. If you have not, then perhaps we all have something to learn. His expression did not change. Who will I fight? Met her eyes, me. The news spread through the academy within hours. Blade Master, the greatest combat instructor in Coalition space, would fight the human cadet in a formal exhibition. Every student, every instructor, every staff member planned to watch. Requests came from other stations, other academies, other worlds. This was not just a test anymore. This was an event. Was pleased. He expected to destroy the human and prove that she had been cheating all along. He told his followers to prepare for celebration. The night before the exhibition, Lieutenant walked through the station's observation deck. He often came here to think. The view of the stars helped clear his mind. He found already there. She sat on the floor near the great window, looking out at the endless darkness. She did not turn when he approached. You should be resting, said. Tomorrow will be difficult. I am resting, replied. This is how I rest. Stood beside her and looked at the stars. They burned cold and distant, millions of them scattered across the black. Are you afraid? He asked. Was quiet for a moment. No. Has never lost a formal match, not in 100 years. I know. He will not hold back. He cannot. Too many are watching. His honor is at stake. Finally turned to look at him. Her dark eyes reflected the starlight. I understand. Then what are you thinking about? She turned back to the window. I am remembering. Waited for her to explain, but she said nothing more. He wanted to ask what she was remembering, but something in her stillness stopped him. Whatever she was thinking about, it was private. It was deep. It was the source of whatever power she had shown in the training ring. He left her there alone with the stars. Tomorrow, the academy would see something it had never seen before. Was not sure if they were ready for it. He was not sure if anyone was. The exhibition hall was the largest space in the academy. It could hold 5,000 spectators. Today, every seat was filled. Cadets sat shoulder to shoulder with instructors. Officers from Coalition Command had come from 3 systems away. Cameras broadcast the event to dozens of worlds. Millions were watching. The fighting ring was a perfect circle, 20 meters across. The floor was made of a special material that would not crack under heavy impacts. The lights above were bright and harsh, leaving nowhere to hide. Entered first. He wore his formal armor, polished silver that reflected the lights like a mirror. On his back hung his family's honor blade. The sword was over 300 years old. It was forged from star metal, one of the hardest substances in the galaxy. It had cut through battle armor, ship hulls, and the bodies of countless enemies. It had never been defeated in formal combat. The crowd cheered as he walked to the center of the ring. He was a legend, a master, the greatest warrior of his generation. Then entered. She wore only her training uniform. Simple gray fabric, loose and light, her feet were bare. She carried no weapon, no armor, nothing. The crowd went quiet. Some laughed nervously. Others whispered to each other. This had to be some kind of mistake. How could she face a blade master with nothing but her empty hands? Watched her approach, his yellow eyes narrowed. "You may select a weapon from the Academy Armory," he said. "Any weapon you wish." Stopped 5 meters in front of him, she shook her head. "I will not need one." More whispers from the crowd. Sitting in the front row with his followers, smiled widely. The human had gone insane. This would be over quickly. Did not smile. Something in his calm disturbed him. She was not afraid. She was not nervous. She stood before him like a still pool of water, reflecting nothing, hiding everything. "Very well," he said. He drew his honor blade. The star metal sang as it left the sheath. "May your ancestors witness your courage." Bowed slightly, "And yours." The signal sounded. Attacked. He was fast, faster than he had been during the demonstration on the first day. His 4 arms moved in perfect coordination, the blade cutting patterns through the air that no 2-armed species could match. Each strike could cut through steel. Each strike was aimed to end the fight instantly. None of them landed. Moved like smoke. She was never where the blade expected her to be. She ducked, twisted, slid, and flowed around every attack. She did not block. She did not parry. She simply was not there when the sword arrived. The crowd gasped. They had never seen anyone move like this. It was not speed, was faster than her. It was something else. Something they had no name for. 1 minute passed, had not touched her. Sweat appeared on his scales. His breathing grew heavier. He was working harder than he had worked in decades, and still the human danced around him like a ghost. He changed tactics. He used his 4 arms to create attack patterns that covered every angle. He drove her toward the edge of the ring where she would have nowhere to go. He moved faster, struck harder, gave her no time to think. Watched his eyes. She watched his shoulders. She watched the tiny movements of his feet that told her where he would strike before his muscles knew. Her grandmother had taught her this. "The body speaks before the blade," the old woman had said. "Learn to listen." 2 minutes passed, was breathing hard now. His arms were slowing. He had never fought this long without landing a hit. Frustration crept into his movements. His attacks became less precise, more desperate. "What are you?" he demanded between strikes. "Human," replied. Something snapped inside. The frustration became anger. The anger became rage. He forgot about the exhibition. He forgot about the watching millions. He forgot about honor and control and everything he had taught for 100 years. He only wanted to hit her. Once. Just once. He raised his blade for a killing stroke. The kind of strike forbidden in training matches. The kind of strike meant for war. He put all 4 arms behind it, all his strength, all his rage. The blade descended with enough force to split starship armor. Did not run, she did not dodge. She stepped forward into the attack. Her hands caught the flat of the blade. Her body rotated with the strike's momentum. For one frozen moment, she and the sword moved together, her motion joining his in a strange and terrible harmony. Then she twisted. The sound was like thunder, like breaking mountains, like the end of something ancient and proud. The honor blade, forged from star metal, passed down through 12 generations, undefeated in 300 years of combat, shattered in her grip. The broken pieces fell to the floor. They rang against the stone like funeral bells. Silence, absolute and complete. 5,000 spectators forgot to breathe. Stared at the ruined hilt in his hands. His eyes were wide. His 4 arms trembled. He could not understand what had happened. No one could break star metal with bare hands. It was impossible. It violated everything he knew about physics, about combat, about reality itself. Stood before him with half of his broken blade in her hand. She was not breathing hard. She was not injured. She simply waited. Humans learned something long ago, she said quietly, only could hear her. Control is not about dominating your opponent. It is about understanding force, redirecting it, using strength against itself. She released the blade fragment. It clattered to the floor beside its twin. Your sword was strong, she continued. But strength without wisdom is just a lever waiting for a fulcrum. I did not break your blade with power. I broke it with understanding, with patience, with 10,000 years of human knowledge about how force truly works. Fell to his knees, not from injury, from something deeper. His world had cracked as surely as his sword. The crowd remained silent. No one knew what to say. No one knew what they had witnessed. In the front row, sat with his mouth hanging open. His accusations of cheating felt foolish now. You could not cheat your way to breaking star metal with bare hands. Whatever this human had done, it was real. Turned and walked out of the ring. She did not celebrate. She did not boast. She simply left as quiet and calm as she had entered. Behind her, knelt among the pieces of his shattered legacy. For the first time in his long life, he understood how little he truly knew. The exhibition changed everything. News of what happened spread across the coalition within days. Humans, the youngest species in galactic civilization, had produced a warrior who defeated the greatest blade master alive. Not with superior weapons, not with hidden technology, with bare hands and ancient knowledge. Governments sent requests for information. Military academies asked for training materials. Scientists demanded to study human combat techniques. The galaxy wanted to understand what it had seen. Disappeared for 3 days after the exhibition. Some said he had gone to meditate. Others said he was too ashamed to show his face. The truth was simpler. He was thinking. For the first time in decades, he was questioning everything he believed. On the 4th day, he called to his office again. She arrived at the same time as before, stood in the same position, waited with the same calm patience. Nothing about her had changed. She did not act like someone who had humiliated a legend. She acted like a student waiting for instruction. Studied her for a long moment. The broken halves of his honor blade sat on his desk between them. He had gathered them from the ring floor himself. They would never be repaired. Star metal, once broken, could not be reforged. I have taught combat for over 100 cycles, he said. I have trained thousands of students. I thought I understood what fighting truly meant. He picked up 1/2 of the broken blade. The edge was still sharp enough to cut through bone. I was wrong. Said nothing, she waited. You did not defeat me with strength, continued. You did not defeat me with speed or skill or any quality I would have recognized. You defeated me with something I have never taught, something I do not understand. He set the blade down. I want to learn. Tilted her head slightly. You are offering to become my student. No, shook his head. I am asking you to become a teacher, here, at the academy. Share what you know with those who wish to learn. I will be your first student if you will have me. The request surprised her. She had expected anger, denial, excuses. Not humility, not this. Why, she asked. Met her eyes. His pride was gone. Only curiosity remained. Because I spent my whole life believing that combat was about control through domination. You showed me that there is another way, a better way. If I die without understanding it, I will have wasted the years I have left. Considered his words carefully, then she nodded. I will teach. The academy announced her new position 1 week later. She would lead a supplementary course on human combat philosophy. Attendance was voluntary. Many expected that few would come. They were wrong. On the first day, over 200 cadets filled the training hall. Curiosity had overcome skepticism. They wanted to see what the human would teach. Stood before them in her simple training uniform. She did not look like a warrior. She did not look like a legend. She looked like a small woman with kind eyes and a patient smile. Fighting is not about destroying your enemy, she began. It is about understanding the flow of conflict. Energy moves, force travels, every action creates a reaction. When you understand this, you stop fighting against reality and start moving with it. She raised one hand. Today, you will learn to breathe. Some cadets laughed. They had come to learn combat secrets, not breathing exercises. Several left immediately. They thought she was wasting their time. Those who stayed spent 3 hours doing nothing but breathing. In, out, slow, deep, controlled. By the end, their bodies ached in ways they had never experienced. Muscles they did not know they had burned with effort. Tomorrow you will learn to stand, told them. Next week you will learn to walk. In 1 month perhaps you will learn to move. More cadets left. They wanted quick results, easy answers, did not offer these things. But some stayed, Lieutenant stayed, and former roommates stayed and stayed. The noble had not spoken since the exhibition. His accusations of cheating seemed foolish now. His pride was wounded. But beneath the pride was something else, something that wanted to understand. After 1 month, he approached during a break in training. I owe you an apology, he said. The words were difficult for him. His species did not apologize easily. I accused you unfairly. I was wrong. Nodded, thank you for saying so. Hesitated. There was a question burning inside him. How? He finally asked. How did humans develop these techniques? Your species is young. You have no warrior tradition spanning thousands of years like mine. How do you know things that we do not? Was quiet for a moment. She looked at her hands, small hands, soft hands, hands that had broken unbreakable metal. You are wrong about our history, she said. Humans have been fighting for as long as we have existed, 10,000 years of war, perhaps more. We fought each other long before we found the stars. She looked up at him. And we were always the smaller ones, the weaker ones. We had no armor plates, no natural weapons, no superior size or strength. We survived because we learned to think, to adapt, to use our enemy's power against them. She gestured around the training hall. Every technique I teach comes from that history. Monks developed fighting arts when they were forbidden to carry weapons. Farmers created combat styles to defeat armored warriors using only their bodies. Prisoners learned to kill with their bare hands because they had nothing else. Listened with growing amazement. He had never thought about human history this way. He had seen them as newcomers, children compared to his ancient civilization. Now he understood that they were something else entirely. Survivors, adapters, a species forged by endless conflict into something unique. We learned, concluded, because we had to, because the alternative was extinction. And now that we have reached the stars, we do not forget those lessons. We share them. The training continued. Weeks became months. The cadets who remained with the program changed. They moved differently. They saw differently. They began to understand that combat was not about muscles and weapons, but about awareness and flow. Became her most dedicated student. The proud blade master spent hours each day learning to breathe, to stand, to wait. His progress was slow. His body had spent 100 years learning the wrong lessons, but he did not give up. One evening, he found on the observation deck, sitting in her usual spot by the window. I watched the recording of our fight again today, he said, settling down beside her. I finally understand what you did when you broke my blade. Tell me. You did not fight the sword. You joined it. For one moment, your movement and the blade's movement became the same, and in that moment, you redirected all of my force back into the metal itself. The sword broke because I broke it. You simply showed it where to go. Smiled, it was the first real smile had ever seen from her. You are learning. I had a good teacher. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars burn their eternal light across the darkness. The broken halves of honor blade hung on his office wall now, mounted in a place of honor. When new cadets asked about them, he told the story, not as a tale of defeat, but as the beginning of understanding. I trained for 100 cycles, he would say. I thought I knew everything about control. Then a human woman who weighed less than one of my arms showed me that I had never truly understood the word. He would point to the shattered metal. She did not break my sword. She broke my arrogance. And that was the greatest gift any instructor has ever given me. Far across the galaxy, on a small blue world called Earth, an old woman sat in a mountain temple and smiled. She did not know the details of what her granddaughter had accomplished, but she felt it somehow. A ripple in the great flow, a door opening. Humanity had spent 10,000 years learning to survive against impossible odds. Now they were teaching the stars. And this was only the beginning.